part for me. Or maybe a goblin has an extra chance to drop a mythic item, but which would make them really exciting. But things to roll the bosses, and not one of those bosses dropped a mythic. So, and I don't like target farming. I like going into the big area to kill dense mobs and hoping something crazy happens or drops. That's the exciting part for me. Or maybe a goblin has an extra chance to drop a mythic item. I don't feel like going through my previous video there that I had made about Diablo, but it's almost like they saw my video. I mean, I talked about how they should bring back the goblins from Diablo 3. I talked about how maybe even a goblin should be able to drop a mythic. I talked about how I hate target farming all the big bosses, and it would be really cool if the bosses would just spawn sometimes randomly in the open Helltides or in those open worlds where you could fight them without having to always gather all those materials just to spawn them. And that is seemingly, I think, what's happening in Season 8. Now, I'm just going to tell you that I'm a bit confused about Season 8. I'm not really sure 100% about everything going on, nor do I care, because I feel like despite the fact that they're doing the things that I mentioned in this video, they're taking 2 steps back. So for every the three major things that I talked about in this video back in January 17th, they're now walking back the items rarity. They're depowering everything. And so now Season 8 is a less powerful Season 7. So therefore, I really have very little interest. I am going to try and see if it's fun, but I'm not sure that's going to be the case, because the problem still remains that even if Season 8 were more powerful than Season 7, in the end, what's the end game? You know, you get a couple of those mythics, and then you can reach the end there and do the top tier pits, I guess. There's something missing about the very end game stuff, right? And from my point of view and my perspective, I'm never really going to get 2 or 3 mythics. But even if I did, what would be the exciting part of that anyway? Do you know what I'm saying? So I really think that we need to add something to the end game here, and I'm going to show you what I mean. And I know it feels like we're always complaining about this game. It feels like Diablo 4 is never going to be a game that we can really, because what is the end game? I'm going to show you right now what I'm talking about. And again, this is coming from my perspective, which is a weekend warrior, a weekend gamer dad. I play the game, and I could play the game anywhere from 3 hours to 15 hours a week, potentially. And recently I've been playing the game 0 hours a week sometimes. So, but let's take a look at this. Oh, so okay, so what's the goal of the end game of the season, right? I guess it's seasonal rewards, right? If you defeat the season, you get seasonal rewards, but you don't really need to hit Pit 150 or have fully loaded mythics to get the seasonal rewards. You can do that anyway. So that's sort of a lower tier thing, seasonal rewards right there. So right now, the goal of the end game of Diablo 4 is I can get to pit as close to Pit 150 as possible, or whatever the top pit is in Diablo 4. I don't even remember. And then what's the other cool thing? Oh, to get fully loaded mythics. But then what? There's no real result or thing you can do from that, because if you were to go any higher, well, I guess the higher goal is to maybe try to get a few more mythics and to really perfect the mythics. But there's no greater thing to do. So I propose that we need to add something to endgame. So once the pit levels are almost impossible to hit 150, mythics, you should be expected to, eventually max out your mythics. And once you max out mythics and maybe a few other things, and you start rolling, there should be a one boss, like Lilith was before. One boss that's mega tough, super damn near impossible to beat, but you can do it, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. And I propose that Diablo 4 bring back Diablo, and at the end of every season, yes, it's awesome to see where you can get in the pit levels. I can get to Pit 100, I can get to Pit 80, I can get to Pit 120, blah, blah, blah. But once you get to around pit 130 to 150, there's a real possibility that you can challenge Diablo. And defeating Diablo will give you an ultra rare cosmetic package of wings and crazy stuff. It will give you like a check marks of some sort of, thing that you did. For the rest of the season, you have a special glow, a golden glow or something that happens to your character. Like all these sort of things. And when you defeat Diablo and you beat Diablo, you can empower one of your current items with something that makes your item like super like a little bit crazier, right, than it is. Whatever that is. Maybe you can add a socket to anything. If it's already socketed, you can add a triple socket. If your weapon is socketed twice, you can add a triple socket. Something that's unbelievable. So now you can apply that to your real-world permanent character after the season ends. So it gives you a reason to level up a permanent character outside of the season. It also makes your seasonal the most powerful it could be. And it allows you still to do pits, right? So say you somehow defeat Diablo at pit and you're on pit level 130, 140. You may be able to creep up to 150 slowly a little bit more over time. And the end game is really that you face Diablo. And you really can't face Diablo unless you're like 75% maxed out with mythics and some of the other stuff that's going on, including the seasonal, whatever it is. And so this allows you to now do the pits. It allows you to maybe set a goal of trying to defeat Diablo to get these super rare things that happen. Cosmetics, and like I said, like something special. And even if you're a really, really good player who only plays Diablo 4 all day, every day, whatever the case is, you're probably only going to be able to face Diablo a total of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times maybe. If you're someone who plays Diablo like, 5 hours, whatever it is, a gamer dad like me probably won't face Diablo every season. But I could if I put my mind to it, I probably could. And everybody could potentially, but not everybody will. Like 50% to 75% of players will not face Diablo. And I think that would really help strive for something. But I also think that you need to bring up those ideas of the mythics dropping in the real world, the regular world. And I think part of what could fix that is those bosses spawning in Hell Tides and spawning randomly rather than having to target farm them. I don't think you should take target farming out of the game because I think it's something some people really love. And if you really, really want to specifically target farm bosses, you can do it. But I also like the idea of the bosses still spawning regularly in the world so that you could find mythic items from anybody. I also do believe that they should bring in another tier of items above mythic. So you have mythic, primal, that sort of thing. And so I still think that we're missing with loot. I still think that you need to add more really fun drops. I don't think there's enough fun drops in the game. And I think those are my major issues. So while I appreciate the goblin stuff, they listened to my video or something, or they had the same ideas as me, whatever the case is. They did the goblin stuff. That's wonderful. They did the boss spawning randomly, and that's wonderful. I think you should add more to that. But my two major things that are left to complain about are there's not enough holy shit moment drops. There's just not enough of those. There's not enough holy shit drops for the average player, I believe. And there's not some kind of mega thirsty endgame thing. And I think that this would solve that. Fight Diablo. Defeating Diablo gives you an ultra rare cosmetic package and maybe some kind of a clout symbol or things. Every season it changes a little bit, right? And it'd be really cool if every season it changes, but if it's your first time beating Diablo, you actually get all the previous tiers too. So if it's the 5th season of Diablo being available to fight, all those previous 5 seasonal rewards, they all drop, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe that ruins the special every season, so don't do that. Okay, whatever, fine. But my point is my point, and that I think you need something really cool like that is attainable. Even if you are a weekend dad gamer, you can really plug in and say, I'm going to play 10 to 15 hours a week And for the whole season, you can do it, but it's very hard. Something attainable like that. And then even when you defeat Diablo, you still may be doing a pit 140 or 130, and you're still striving towards that 150. And maybe the defeating Diablo drops something that enables you to take one item and like make that item like an unbelievable fucking item, right? Or like give it just something extra, like a third socket or something like that. Something like that is what we're looking for. Some kind of fun, really crazy stuff. But I don't want just something like that. I need more items to drop. I need more fun, crazy drops in the game. That they're missing. They're missing at the mid level. They're missing at the end game level. The game is just missing like holy shit drops. You know, we need more of that. And I think we need items that are above mythic, and I think we need more items to drop that are mythic or slightly below mythic. There's not enough holy shit drops, but there's a whole lot of legendary drops and a whole lot of rare drops and a whole lot of that stuff. Like the mediocre gear that drops is out of control. Like it's crazy. There's no like top tier and mega tier and super ultra rare stuff. There's no in between. It's just target farm boss, maybe mythical drops. That's it. There's really no, I mean, there's a little bit of that with those, whatever the asterisk symbol items. I don't remember what they're called anymore. There's some of that, like a really good version of that drops. I get it. It's there, but there's something about it that's not connecting with me. And I don't know if it's just me or other people. But anyway, these are the things that I would, if you implemented what I just said, I would probably come back to the game fully. And I think that they're on their way to some of this, but I would like to see them go further. I like the goblins. I like the boss spawn stuff in Season 8. But unfortunately, Season 8 feels like a less powerful Season 7. Why would I play it? You know, that's how I feel. That's Diablo 4, Season 8. That's the state of Diablo 4 as I see it. A dad gamer who plays 3 to 10 hours a week or so. But I've been playing Diablo since Diablo 1. And, you know, I loved Diablo 2 so much. When Diablo 3 came out, I was, like, surprised and disappointed. But then I started to like Diablo 3. And now I really love Diablo 3. I love Diablo 3 because it's a fun, arcadey version of Diablo that I can go in and blast stuff, and I understand how it works, and it's fun. But, you know, when I have a lot of time, it gets boring after a bit. And sometimes I jump over to Diablo 2 again. And once in a while, I peek into Diablo 4, and I just think, I'm not having fun. But then there are some times where I did have some fun in Diablo 4. It's really close, guys. It's very close, but it's just not doing it for me yet. I want to play Diablo 4. I want Diablo 4 to become like Diablo 2 and 3. I want it to be something that I want to play off and on all the time for the rest of my life. But it's just so close. It's not there, though, yet. Anyway, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Leave in the comments down below and share this video to everybody and around to the Diablo community. Maybe somebody will, you know, it is what it is. I'm not pretending to be some super smart, crazy, good Diablo 4 player. I'm not. I'm a very average, casual, inefficient player who has limited time, but is an absolute lover of the game and a tryhard for life. I'll see you guys.